La La Land is the latest movie from Damien Chazelle, who's the same director who made 2014's Whiplash, one of the best movies that was made that year. Thinking back on my best of list of 2014, I may have included this in there. It wasn't in my initial list, but it would definitely have been in a top 20 if I had remade that list and added a few other movies. But anyway, this is La La Land. This is a completely different movie than what Whiplash was. Basically, it's a musical. It's pretty much a 1950s, 60s style Hollywood musical. And it simply follows a down on his luck jazz musician, played by Ryan Gosling, as he falls for an up-and-coming actress played by Emma Stone. And that's pretty much the plot of the movie. It's a love story that's also a musical. I actually go back and forth when it comes to musicals. Sometimes I really love them, like Sound of Music, West Side Story, Mary Poppins, Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So there are a lot of musicals that I do love. However, sometimes musicals can get on my goddamn nerves with films like Les Miserables and Hairspray. There are just some musicals that I can't stand for the life of me. So like I said, I'm mixed when it comes to the genre, but I've been really looking forward to this movie because Whiplash was great. I can't wait to see what he does with a completely different genre, and the trailers really looked amusing. Man, 2016 is just a year for disappointments, isn't it? I mean, La La Land's not bad. Let me just say that right out of the gate. It's not a bad movie. I don't dislike it at all. I just don't think it's the second coming that everyone's making this out to be. And I'll elaborate on what I mean by that later, but for now, let's talk about the good. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are two really great powerhouse actors. This is their third time collaborating with each other. The first time was Crazy Stupid Love, which I really liked. I thought it was a really underrated comedy of the year it came out, and Gangster Squad, which I didn't see. But this is their third pairing, and the two of them really have great chemistry together, and they're both terrific actors. You can really buy that they're in love, and they both give really good performances in terms of the acting. There is singing in this movie, and in terms of singing, that's a completely different story, because Emma Stone actually does a fine job as a singer. She's not the best, but she manages to get by. Ryan Gosling, on the other hand, can't sing to save his life. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, and he's a very, very talented actor, but he just can't sing for shit. Luckily, there are only 2 out of 1 billion songs in this movie that he has to sing, and he doesn't really sing for that long. So at least they were kind enough to not have him sing a majority of the movie. Which I guess that's a great transition into the songs. The songs in here are really good. Out of all of them, I can only remember the first 2. All the other songs, I found myself tapping my foot to, but in the end, they were kind of forgettable. They were good, I just can't remember them or even hum them. The dance choreography, along with the cinematography, is also outstanding. There are many long tracking shots where the camera just goes around a certain area, zooms in on people, pulls back out, and just continues going. This film is beautifully shot, and again, mixed with the choreography of the musical numbers, it's outstanding. If this thing doesn't win or even get nominated for Best Cinematography, then that's gonna be a crime. And besides the musical numbers, the regular score itself is also really good. It has a lot of that old school jazz feel to it, which jazz is a primary theme throughout a lot of this movie. I mean, one of your main characters is a guy who wants to play jazz, so you got that right there. But the score is really catchy. I really dug the score a lot. Probably one of my favorite scores of this year. Now, I really like this movie, but I just don't love it. I think it's a little too overhyped. I really didn't feel that much emotion to what was going on with the two characters. When they go through their ups and downs, I really didn't feel that much of a connection between the two of them. I mean, it was great to see these two actors play off of each other and work really well. I just didn't really have any emotional attachment to them or the events that happened between the two of them. Now, the biggest problem for me, the biggest thing that keeps me from absolutely loving this movie is its setting. It's set in modern day. It's set in the 21st century, and it's just really distracting. I know that sounds like a nitpick, but this movie is supposed to be like those older musicals from the 50s and 60s, as I mentioned before. A lot of the characters do things or act a certain way that feel totally out of place for a modern day setting. Hell, the characters even dress like they belong in the 1960s, which is why when I kept seeing the poster, I thought, is this set in the 1960s? It's just very distracting. I would have probably liked this movie a lot more had it been set in that period of time when these musicals were prominent. Because what those older musicals had, they had a sense of fantasy to it. Just that magical feeling when you watch them. Even something as down to earth as West Side Story or Sound of Music had some little magical touch to it. This movie unfortunately doesn't have that, and it's just really distracting to watch an old school musical set in a modern day. So I just want to make it clear that I do like this movie. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. It's just disappointing. I went into this with such high expectations, and it just wasn't what I imagined it to be. And one last thing I should mention is the ending of the movie. The ending, it seems like there's something with Damien Chazelle with both Whiplash and this, where he doesn't know how to cut the movie off at an appropriate time, because the ending to this goes on forever. You watch it and you go, okay, yeah, I get the point. I get the point. You can cut it right there. No, cut it. Stop it right there. Stop the movie right now. You can end it at this point. The ending just keeps going, and you just get tired. And I had the same problem with Whiplash. So, La La Land, it's a good movie. It's not a great movie, in my opinion. If you feel like you really have to see this movie, this is probably going to be one of those big Oscar movies, then definitely check it out. I'd love to hear your opinion on it, even if we don't see eye to eye. But for me, myself, this is a disappointment. I really like it. Can't pull myself to love it. And that's my review for La La Land. I hope you enjoyed this review. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on this movie, if and when you've seen it. And as always, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.